I am Koby Phillips, the VP of Cloud and Managed Services here at Telarus, and I am joined by AVP of Alliance and Market Strategy for Expedient, Alvaro Gonzalez. Welcome.
Hey, hi, Koby. How are you today?
And I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
Excellent, excellent. Happy to get to talk with you.
I'm really excited to go over a couple of key things with you that I'm really hoping partners hear and digest and really start to understand where Expedient's winning in the marketplace. And first, you guys have a catchphrase of cloud different. What does that really entail, in your opinion, Alvaro, and how does that impact a partner?
Yeah. So, I've worked, as a lot of partners are going to know, for a number of different providers in the field. I think an expedient that I think is impressive to me, and I'm happy to get to tell people about, is that Expedient kind of works from bringing a tool set that was responsive to what the customer is doing first, and then having all of the infrastructure behind it. So much of the time when people come to work with a cloud and colo service provider, what they're trying to do is to actually handle what's complex about the infrastructure business. And whereas some people maybe start from the infrastructure and go out, we start from the complexity and making it go away and structure our stuff behind it. That is what's different. We have tools that people can work on the infrastructure that they're getting from us, but also tools that they can put into infrastructure that they didn't get from us. Again, it's like problem solving first and infrastructure behind it.
It sounds like you guys are very aware that there's a bigger landscape out there of options that you need to work with and not against for a customer to really have a successful ecosystem in cloud. And that's one of the things that I've always appreciated about Expedient. You recognize we don't do everything. What we do extremely well, but we work with everything extremely well. And so when I look at it, we get into opportunities and I talk to partners, I definitely position that. Would you care to add on to that at all?
Yeah, actually, I'm still relatively new at Expedient, right? I just crossed over not that long ago. And it's, for me, like, taken a minute to really wrap my mind around the way that we're doing this stuff. But we talk about having an and conversation. Like, if you think about us working in hybrid cloud, for a lot of other people, hybrid means this kind of stuff that you bought from me and that kind of stuff that you bought from me. We talk about things being an and conversation. So if you have purchased and you have existing stuff in AWS, in Google, in Azure, but you also want to be working with things from us, we can bring, for example, monitoring, observability, firewalling, governance, cost control, visibility across those things into one place. If you bought it from us, awesome. If you didn't buy it from us in the public clouds and things like that, we can also do that. It is pretty different from the way other people are doing it, which is what makes it an exciting and a great fit.
Yeah, I really appreciate that viewpoint that you guys take on it, because it really makes it a more simple environment for the customer where they're leveraging a hybrid complex, and it simplifies that down and says, here's a tool set that we can extend out. In fact, you guys were nice enough to host me and several others at your recent partner advisory, and I overheard a story there from a partner sharing a win that really, highlighted that approach that you guys have. Would you care to share a little bit more detail around that?
Yeah, for sure. So actually, it was funny because when this partner started talking about this, I wasn't sure where he was going to go. The first thing out of his mouth was, it was kind of annoying at first when I didn't understand what you guys were trying to do, because the customer we were working on here was a manufacturer that was making building supplies, essentially. And we started with them that they had a number of different manufacturing facilities, like remote places. These weren't offices, these were factories where they needed backup capabilities, for the stuff that they were running on site. After that, though, because it went so well, we got a look at every application that this customer was running for all of the business, not just the backup, but we picked up the stuff that we were protecting originally and all the line of business applications in the core and the DR for everything, like a big suite of services. We, though, did this big kind of analysis as we were building up to that, where a lot of people will take a look at what's there and they'll just shape up kind of like a like for like environment. Like you have this there, we're going to have the same thing over here. We optimized everything first. We got to look at it to be able to do an assessment to say, this is how you're set up, but this is what you're wasting, so that what came out the other side of the pipe, be it at those remote locations or in the core business stuff, the core business applications, they kind of got to right size, to optimize, and to move all at the same time, which was an excellent outcome for that customer, but not necessarily the way that other people do it. It was not really the way that they expected it to go.
Well,
so
yeah,
it's a nice story, right?
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't mean to step on you there, but I get excited when I hear that, because that's the number one thing that when I talk to customers. And if I'm a partner and I'm hearing that story and I'm talking to a customer about what, Expedient and by proxy, what they bring to the table. It's the idea, hey, you could do this on your own. A lot of companies do. There's still a 70% failure rate in digital transformation, or another 70% that say we're not managing our cloud spend right? And so a lot of that is driven towards what you just said. They didn't optimize, and they certainly haven't modernized as they move. The analogy I always go with is your family wants to put your kids into a better school district, so you move houses. And once you move, you still send them back to the old school district. You moved, but you didn't accomplish what the mission was. And I see a lot of companies doing that, and it's evident in a ton of the conversations that we're having. A lot of the reports from Gartner, Forrester, Flexera, State of the Cloud, they all have the same stats, right? And so with that approach that you guys are taking, again, if I'm a partner and I'm talking to a customer, I'm sitting there going, hey, if you really want to see how you can modernize and optimize while you're doing migrations, let me bring in the supplier Expedient. They have a great process, a great methodology on how to approach this. It's been successful, and here's the outcome. The other thing that I want to highlight with you guys is the tool set that you offer to partners. It's exceptional in the marketing that you have for partners. The intent data that you guys are able to deliver, would you be able to highlight that just for a couple of seconds here?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're actually like the crown jewel of what we're using for the MarTech stack that we bring to bear on behalf of our channel partners is this 6 Sense data analysis tool, where there are some people in the industry who are able to say we're talking about customer intent data because of downloaded assets out of TechTarget and things like this. 6 Sense actually is kind of like the next step up from that, where they are looking at all kinds of indicators of interest, sometimes personalized, sometimes not, but to be able to correlate them in real time between what is getting looked at, what are relevant keywords, and then to be able to give not just, hey, somebody's looking, but somebody is looking hard. There is real indication of intent on this, so that then partners can come to us and say, listen, this is a number of customers or prospects, for Expedient, but customers to them maybe, that we're already working on. And for us to be able to get insight into, these are the things that are relevant to them. So to take what is the ability to really analyze, not just are they downloading white papers, but to be able to see there's high degree of intent from multiple people looking at these topics, to be able to go and to know that you have something that is absolutely relevant and valuable, timely to them, to have these conversations. It's a great opportunity for us all to get to do well by doing good. Know what the problems are they're facing, know what they're interested in working on, and to be able to come to them and say, gosh, this is something that's pretty hot. Would you like to discuss?
Yeah, I think your ability to offer that to partners separates you guys again in the partner experience that you guys are cultivating over there. To go back to that example, the win, you mentioned that's a manufacturing company. One of the areas that I'm starting to see that you guys have a product that just hits perfect for manufacturing and other verticals as well, in the Expedient Edge. I would love for you to just share what that is and how big of an impact that's making for customers and partners alike.
All right. Yeah. So this specific win that we were talking about at the PAB was based on our edge thing. It's interesting actually because I told you then that we kind of have opportunities coming over the transom now to work with this Expedient Edge product because of the problem it's solving. What is it? So many people actually have these remote locations. In this case, we've seen a number of big wins with call them manufacturing applications where, hey, I need to have some compute infrastructure. I need to have some servers on these remote locations to be able to do my control of physical security, my plant automation, all of these things. But there isn't a data center there, so the environmentals are pretty tough on these servers. I don't have IT headcount there, so that if there are issues, if there are things that need to be maintained or fixed, it's very expensive to get people there and slow, but it's more expensive to have people there. So with Expedient Edge, we actually have this ability to do, it's a pretty small footprint so that you can start small and scale it out. They are ruggedized environments. You could put it in the overhead bin on an airplane, but it is 4 servers at a time, 4 hosts at a time that can run up to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. They're resistant to vibrations, all of these things that allow you to have a cloud-like experience on your prem there so that latency is not an issue, network downtime maybe is not an issue. Everything is local to you, but you're getting it managed and maintained by us. The way we're talking about it now is that people can operate or they can innovate. It's hard to do both at the same time. And if you want to innovate, you can't get away from operating. Doing this in that customer, we took it from, it was 12 remote locations that we did this for, so that they compared if they were doing these things for themselves versus doing it with us. We could give them more uptime. We could do it at a 20% lower TCO over the term of this agreement and give them back a bunch of time so that in-house IT people could be focusing on that innovation side as opposed to the operations side, right? It's a pretty ugly problem for anyone who's having to maintain a big fleet of multiple locations where the stuff has to be ready, it has to be available locally, but you don't have enough of it there to warrant having IT skilled headcount to maintain it in place. It's a fantastic fit for that.
Yeah, I mean the size of this stuff, and I apologize. I've seen you guys send out models to partners. They're cardboard cutouts. I remember the first time he said, "We're sending these out." I was like, "Man, you guys are really investing in getting this out." But yeah, it's yay big, right? This long. That wide, it's incredible all the compute power that you guys have built into this device and the impact that it's having. Again, manufacturing is a no-brainer. There's other verticals. This works within any vertical, but that is something that
retail, medical, absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely blowing up for you guys, and partners are definitely jumping on board with that as well. So the other thing that we get asked for a lot that you guys take a unique approach to is assessments and things like that.
Yep.
So that's the number one thing when I'm talking to a partner or customer, like, hey, let's do an assessment, or do you have the ability to get me someone that can do an assessment? How does Expedient approach assessments for partners, or sorry, for customers?
Yep. Yeah. So that is something also that is kind of different about us. We made a strategic decision from our CEO on down that when you have a retention rate that looks like the one that we have, most providers will effectively use an assessment process as a way to get customers to spend money to commit to it because it feels like there's kind of risk, am I going to win or not? At Expedient, we've secured actually extremely favorable conditions for us to use a tool from HPE that owns it now. It's called Cloud Physics that gives unbelievably great detail to take inventory of what's there. This is kind of like the cornerstone of an assessment, right? But to look at not only inventory, utilization, interdependencies, to map out the communications, and to get a really deep and insightful look at what is the existing infrastructure that is there. Because, again, we have both a strategic decision and a really well put together system, where for other people, an assessment of the quality that this is going to produce will be a pretty considerable economic commitment. For qualified opportunities, we're doing it at no charge so that we can go into it. Again, this is one of those things that I'll repeat an expression I used before, and that is doing well by doing good. We do these assessments, we do them for qualified opportunities at no charge, and the idea is people get incredible insight out of these things, and it allows us to do the kind of work that leads to the retention of customers that we get. So I would say it's deeper insights than most people are able to get without spending a ton of money to get there, and to serve as the cornerstone of a real partnership, a real engagement to not just lift and shift existing environments, but to do things better for the customer so that, again, they're happy, they're game.
Yeah, to kind of highlight that retention, I'll share a quick story with you. And I don't know if I've told you this or not since you've been there, but we had a big partner out of the Midwest, and we're talking, and I bring Expedient up, and he goes, I can't work with Expedient. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, man, I hadn't heard anything but good things about Expedient, so that's a little concerning. He goes, no. They already have so many customers here, and they all love them. Most of my customers already work with Expedient, and they're not going anywhere. So there's not a lot of additional opportunity. To give additional feedback on the commitment you guys have to the channel, I took that feedback in sharing, hey, you guys are doing great. Like, to hear that from a partner, it was a tip of the cap. And Brian, your CEO, said, let's address that. We want to work with that partner. We want to open up any additional opportunities that they can bring in and grow those accounts, because we want to grow the channel, and our commitment to doing that is at an all-time high. And you guys have really backed that up with the tools, the showing up to events, the education, the investment in people. I could not be more impressed with who you guys have brought on board, including yourself. And I'm excited to see what happens next with Expedient. If there are any questions that you guys have for Expedient, Alvaro's not hard to find. His team is growing under the leadership of Dave and others. So they're everywhere in the channel now, all over events. But as always, Telarus is here to help make connections and get you guys to the right spot, along with their engineers, to help you guys work on deals and opportunities. We could not be more thankful for you joining Alvaro and myself today. And
hey, very mutual.
Yep.
Yeah.
And thank you guys all for viewing. And if, again, any questions or anything else that you guys need, always here to help from both an Expedient and Telarus point of view. So thank you again.